What is up, you fine people on the Rift and on this great green and blue earth? Eric and Mark here with you guys for a little bit of global power rankings heading into week 2. And the top 10 teams in the world, it's very volatile, especially the first couple of weeks when teams are still figuring things out. So there's some huge moves week to week still early on.
Right, this is week 2 of the summer split. You got to be thinking about, with these power rankings, of course, you're just coming out of an international event with MSI. You've had a little bit of time to see how teams have adjusted from the summer break and how they're, how the action is going against their counterparts here in their own regions. Now it is a little bit volatile, seeing some new teams, some teams dropping out of the power rankings. But hey, just as important as always, week 2 global power rankings.
And week 2, we can guarantee you that SKT, the champions from LCK Spring, are not on this list because they have looked bad to start the spring split. IG also out of the top 10, even though they got a win against EDG without Rookie in the lineup. And Forge looked pretty decent, but going forward, obviously, IG are not nearly the same powerhouse without Rookie.
Right, and we haven't seen IG play up to the level that we had seen them play in the spring split or even in their play at MSI. For the most part, we haven't seen this really strong bounce back from IG that we keep waiting for after their upset loss to Team Liquid in the semifinals. And then for SKT, we were waiting for them to show, kind of that second week MSI where they started to really pick up the pace as far as, understanding the tempo of the game and what was going to be demanded from them. They head back into the LCK, and we haven't seen that whatsoever. It's just been very slow starts from this squad and not a lot of strong play, especially from the top side of the map for them there, and that is certainly a cause for concern when you're talking about those two powerhouse teams. I would expect them to get back into these global power rankings, of course, as we go deeper into summer, but right now, they find themselves on the outside looking in.
And a couple of teams that are on the inside is that team that upset IG. Team Liquid 2-0 weekend is enough to just keep them on these power rankings in that 10th spot. Origin moves down a couple of spots, and 2-2 is the worst record on this board. And you might say, why is Origin even on here? Well, their 2 losses were to Fnatic and G2, the undefeated squads in Europe, and they actually played pretty solid games against them.
Yeah, and you still got to give them some credit because, of course, their matches against the #1 team, most likely in G2, is obviously a little bit longer than Team Liquid had, so they find themselves in at number 10.
Yeah, I mean, it's more impressive to survive north of 35 minutes. Team Liquid didn't even get close to that. Kingzone and Griffin both down a couple of spots, but still in that top 10 ranking. And the Africa Freaks come ahead of both of them, making their season debut. They definitely were not on this list in the spring split. But UCal is back to KT Rolster form, and the rest of Africa, they're keeping the roster the same, and they look like legit contenders.
Yeah, it seems like, hey, the Duck Duck Goose game that they've been playing to decide the roster in the spring split seems to be over. They've decided on this starting roster that they're going to be rolling through here for the most part in the summer, and we've seen the strength. We've seen now that they've been able to develop this team with cohesion and that level of thinking together here on the Rift that is so important in these split-second decisions and these team fights. We have seen Africa Freaks unlock this next level of performance, which has been really fantastic to watch. And the best thing for me about it is your boy in the mid lane, UCal, is starting to pop off, show some of that promise that we knew he had with KT Rolster, and we didn't see at all in the spring split, which was a, hey, big-time cause for concern when you're talking about such a young player with a lot of potential. We're seeing it now in summer, and man, is it a good sight to see again.
He's 18 years old. People forget about that, how young he still is, because he got so much experience on KT. But Kingzone looked unbeatable before Africa matched up with them, and they destroyed them in games 2 and 3. And Africa's only loss in a best of is against Griffin, and that was a close series that they probably should have won, to be honest. So Africa looking real good so far in the summer split. Let's go to the top 5 for this week on the global rankings. And there's a couple of big-time debuts when you go right into that top 5. Yes, there's kind of some underwhelming play from a lot of the teams that were ahead of them, but Fnatic and Sandbox both make their debuts. Fnatic was a team that was just outside, really, you would say, or right near the bottom last week, and then they come in here. They look great. G2 is G2, but Fnatic are making a name for themselves in EU.
Certainly, there's a hard place to find any type of way to think of another champion coming out of the European region other than G2 with the way that they are playing. But if you had to be thinking about it, Fnatic is the only one really showing you that sign here that they are of this elite level. They are of the level that will be able to compete at this international stage and hold up to the standard that G2 is now setting for the European region to expect from themselves at international events. Fnatic, strong start. We've been waiting for them to develop more time here. Nemesis is looking great in the mid lane right now for Fnatic. And hey, I think that little bit of extra pressure on Broxa, bringing in a replacement in there, has ignited his passion here in this split to really help them rocket forward here away and get into the top 5 week 2 global rankings.
Yeah, across the board, they're looking a whole lot better than they did, especially at the start of spring. Sandbox, an incredible debut for them, and talk about running the gauntlet when it comes to the LCK, taking down the 2 finalists. In week 2, they took down SKT and Griffin in pretty convincing fashion.
That's the surprising thing, really, when you talk about those results here for Sandbox. Isn't that, yes, those teams maybe struggled to those results there and they ended up on the losing side. It is that Sandbox is finding their way to get these victories. The way that they're doing it here, I want to give a shout out to your boy in the jungle. On Fleek was really a masterful job of controlling the objectives, controlling the Drakes they've been talking about. Dude must have some type of vendetta against these Drakes
here.
Team
Liquid.
Because he's always taking them down. It doesn't matter if it's the Clown Drake or the Ocean Drake, whatever it is.
5 Drake's the best Drake, guys.
He wants them all the time, every single advantage for his team, and he's been doing a great job controlling it, and Sandbox has been looking good to start out the summer split.
Head-to-head against Tarzan and Clid, you come away with 2 series wins. That's a heck of a start for week 2 for Sandbox. The top 3 remains the same. It was only 1 game for RNG this week, but they went against Vici. They looked pretty solid, pretty dominant. They've been dominant in all of their series, but they haven't been quite as dominant as Fun Plus has been. It's more of the same from spring. These guys completely blitzing the regular season, although they did finally drop a game. Now 10-1 in match score on the season, so maybe they shouldn't be 2.
Yeah, one game, okay, so it's no time to panic here. Don't be taking away the 2nd spot on the power rankings from my boy Gimgoon and FPX doing B in the mid lane here. That's what we're talking about. That's what you want to be watching with this squad. Once again, I've been saying it all year long. You want to watch an exciting squad here playing League of Legends that you haven't seen some stuff before? Tune into the LPL. Watch your boys FPX here because you know that they're bringing the heat when they're coming out on the Rift there. They're bringing it, and they're bringing it into style here at the number 2 spot in the power rankings.
And quick shout out to LGD for getting that win against them. Kramer has had an incredible season so far. He's stuck in ELO hell, and it got even worse because now Condi, starting jungler, you banned for 18 months for match fixing.
Yeah, and I mean that one I'm a little bit on the fence for because as Condi talked about, he had made a bet on them during the Nest tournament, and then he had been approached by some people to maybe do some match fixing, and he said, whoa, I'm just looking to make a little bet here to make some money, guys. Match fixing out of the territory here, goes to tell the officials, and now it gets blown up into this big type of scandal type of thing. So hey, I don't know how much I'd really want to be punishing Condi. Seems like he's trying to do the right thing.
18 months is pretty harsh.
But 18 months is the penalty there, and ooh. Yikes, things get tougher for our boy Kramer there, so say a little prayer for him.
Yeah, I don't think he can do much more on that LGD squad. And G2 can't do much more to impress us. We know now Perks is actually the best Pike player on the roster. They have their own mini game going just to determine who the best Pike player is. I want to give my boy Yankos a chance. Let him play it in the jungle. Let him have some fun.
Nah, man. Yeah, I don't think he's not really a Pike type of player, man. He's more of a Braum type of support player in the jungle.
Braum for Yankos. But G2, another week. I mean, yeah, they had a bad early game against SK. It doesn't matter with this team. When they're in a deficit, they'll just win these team fights.
It's just one of those things, again, where like they can find themselves into these type of deficits and then approach these team fights and rely upon their individual skills, usually, given that they're not far behind here, to get back into these games, get back into these fights. It really is something special to watch, the way that they're able to play. But the problem is they're usually not finding themselves behind too often because they're so proactive and they're so skilled in the way that they go about this map here. G2 Esports really showing us this elite level type of talent. They are your best team in the world, sitting atop the global power rankings after week 2.
And we can't forget, yeah, they're all mechanical beasts in their respective roles, but they're not, brainless, just mindlessly pushing lanes, trying to get ahead. They're actually all very smart in a macro sense. You've heard some of the comms. Pretty much every player on there, especially Perks, makes some incredible shot calling for that squad. So big brain plays as well as the big mechanical
Oh yeah,
ones.
and hey, if you're already not spending a little bit of extra cash over to Rito, getting that Pro View access type of situation going on, I highly recommend it for watching the G2 games, because not only you seen some spicy plays, but you might even get to see our boy Wonder open up MS Paint in the top lane, and hey, you might even be getting to see the all chat wholesome birthday messages for Carlos. Pro View, thumbs up here.
G2esports.com/shop. Make sure you're checking it out and getting some new painting accessories. But G2 for now, still number 1 on the global ranking.